Your mom has a really interesting vocation.
She's a hospice nurse, yeah.
She's been doing
Hospice, my stupid Boston accent.
which is basically she takes care of end of life.
Yeah, but she works in a hospice center, so a lot of hospice nurses are out of, they'll go to a dying patient in their house, but this is where dying patients come, and it's end of life care. So the average stay is 2 weeks. No one recovers. When you go there, you do not leave. So she sees 3 or 4 deaths a day.
What is it? I'm curious, just systematically, how people end up there. Is it like a health insurance thing? Is it like a government thing?
That's a great question. I mean, it's when the dying process starts. I mean, it's when the illness is fully terminal.
You're moving out of the hospital and into
a place where it's called end of life care, where you're just trying to make them comfortable.
I'm genuinely
and
curious
them.
about how that came into existence. Is it part of the hospital? Like, who runs that?
I have no idea. I don't. It's
just kind of like, where did that come from? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because the most hospice is the specific out of institute, like it's actually just nurses going to take care of you at home, so you're dying in your home. This sort of thing, a hospice center, is much, much rarer. But no, it's a lot of donations and things. I mean, like it's obviously not like a for-profit place. But yeah, it's pretty.
So how has that, like, I mean, affected her, and maybe even you by proxy? I mean, surely that trickles down to you too.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's doing it 9 or 10 years now, and it's insane. She after the first 2 weeks of working there, she forgot the president's name, so she went to the hospital to get a CAT scan because she thought she had a brain tumor. And she went to work the next day, and her boss said, "That just happens here. You just forget shit. Like you're just going to be blocking so much of what's happening out here."
That it's like that. He's like, "Oh, if you only told me, I would have told you that happens to everybody here."
Yeah, exactly. And like when she was getting ready to interview for the place, she saw like a body getting carried out. She's like, "I can't fucking do this." And then 2 weeks in, she's carrying a body out, chatting with the nurse's assistant. Puts it in the car and turns around and is like, "Whoa,
crazy!"
And I'll be with her at like a diner, and a family will come up and be like, Patty, oh my God, like, because she saw her, their, father through his last 2 weeks of his life, and they'll leave, and she'll go, "I don't remember them." Because she's like the most. She'll be the most important people in some people's lives. 5 of them a day.
Trip.
And it's like,
I mean, how does that affect her? Has her personality changed at all?
She's incredibly stable and like, and it's all women. It's like mostly all women there, and it's like a really incredible example of like the sort of condescended, stereotyped quality of women. Of like, oh yeah, women are maternal and women are very caring, but it's like a like military, like as tough a version of that as can be, and you actually realize that like caring is actually the most tough and resilient thing you can actually do at its extreme. That I'm saying, people come back from war, unable to fucking process thoughts. My mother comes back from watching like a 40-year-old bleed out in front of his family, and she comes, to like, smiles and cooks us dinner. Like that is actual strength. And it is. Yeah, she has wild stories. People dying of alcoholism, and she will dip a Q-tip in Jack Daniels and swab it in their mouth.
Wow.
Because it's just people dying of lung cancer. She takes them out. She wheels them out into the snow and holds a cigarette to their lips because they're too weak.
Damn.
Because it's just end of life care. It's not about preventing it. And it's also very medical. She's also like a nurse practitioner. I mean, she knows what she's doing.
She's
worked in the ER. She's done these things. So, but yeah, it's wild.
That's got to be one of the craziest fucking jobs you can possibly perform.
Family members showing up, like threatening to fucking kill people, like, "Get my dad out of here. You shouldn't be." You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking
like
dramatic.
Not coming to terms with it,
or like they don't want them here. They're confused, or they're it's.
Well, I can say just from like my wife Ela is going through something with her dad right now, and like just hearing her talk about it is like, it's so fucked up. Like, we're so bad at dealing with death.
We don't think about it until it's there, and so like these women, these nurses that are like such rocks for people, because my mother will sit there and go like,
she knows how to deal with it,
and she knows what it looks like. Like,
unlike everybody, she knows how to deal with it,
and dealing with it isn't like to make it easier, but she'll she can say like she's never seen last words in her life ever. She says they almost never speak for the last 2 hours. There is a last breath, but there's almost never a last word. It's like really, really incredibly fascinating.
She should write a book, dude.
She was on an episode of, because I talked a little bit about this on Marin's podcast like a long time ago, and Nancy Updike from This American Life heard, and they did it This American Life, and on my mom, half of it's on my mom, and you can hear her in the hospice center. It's like, and some people, you know, it sucks for her because it's such an interesting job, and she, of course it is emotionally taxing, and she needs to talk about it. But it's such a hard thing to talk about because people hear about it and they go like, I just can't fucking hear that. But it definitely puts my job into perspective very easily. You know what I mean? Where I can just be like, oh, who gives a shit what happens with this thing or that? Like,
I wonder if like we as a society, and this is kind of a fucking ridiculous question out there, but like if we just dealt with death better, you know what I mean? Like. It's this boogie. We all obviously know we're going to die, but like the thought of it, the prepping of it, the association of it, the way that like we prolong it, even when it's over. Like this is normal, is that when people are dying and they're on death's bed, certain to die, and they're suffering, there's no quality of life left. The family suffering, the person suffering. It's like you prolong that for as long as possible. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I think we've done better with grief than we have death. You know what I mean? We like there's more of an infrastructure for the grieving process. You know, I think like we're more familiar with that. I'm saying before we've experienced funerals, we know what that is. We know that space a little bit.
Those are very public but
the dying process for people unfamiliar with it is intense. And my father's father died at the hospice center my mom was working at, but she couldn't work with him because they don't let you work.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah. Well, there's interest, but just like fucked up. It's like it just wouldn't be healthy or something.
Yeah, I get that. I mean.
But yeah, like my mother will come home like having a rough day, and it's like, what was it? It's like, yeah, it was a young person. You know, it's like fucking and it's in Massachusetts, in like this beautiful weird center with all these windows, and like the seasons are changing, and it's like, I would love to make a movie about it. It's just like a little too crazy and heavy.
The subject matter is very interesting, and I think it's something that really should be explored. Honestly,
it's like,
I wonder if there's a way to make it that isn't brutally depressing. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think there is, but it could be beautifully depressing, maybe. But like, there's one story that she told me that's like incredible. One of her nurse's aides, a lot of immigrants that work there, and she was a Haitian immigrant, and she was in the room holding something in her arms in a towel, and my mother was working with a older gentleman who was very sick and sort of out of it. And my mother was like, so she's going to take care of you now. And the old guy said some racial slur. You know, this is a black woman. And says, like, I don't want that whatever touching me or getting near me. My mother turns to the nurse, and she's like, you know, putting this stuff in him that, like, conks him out for a little bit so they can, like, change his bedding and everything. And my mom turns to the nurse's aide and, like, you don't have to do this. Like, that's really inappropriate. I'll do this. Don't worry. And she's going, no, holding this thing, going, no, it's okay, like hearing all this. And my mother watches as the guy, like, dozes off for a bit, and the woman opens the towel, and she'd been warming lotion. While he's saying all this stuff to her, she was warming lotion for him, and as he's passed out, squirts it and gives him, like works into his feet and his hands.
That's
after hearing him.
That's
it's
crazy
like,
compassion.
It's like incredible. It's like, you know, the people that do this are like truly angels, and they're angels. And then I go to the hospice center all the time to check in, or see my mom, and it's like a bunch of little Boston ladies being like, "Oh, Bo, you're out in Hollywood. Oh my God, come here." You know what I mean? They're like little. It's incredible. It's a crazy little world there. There was I think there was an HBO show about it. I never saw it, but the moving.
I would definitely love to watch anything about that. It's just,
I think a documentary would probably be the best. I mean, the respect of the family makes it like because you couldn't really do it, but
right.
That you should listen to. It's called Death and Taxes. This American Life.
I'll check it.
Pretty incredible.
Love it. Love that show.